EdHelper, Inca 101. When it comes to ancient culture in South America, the word Inca always comes to mind. For nearly 300 years, the Inca tribe slowly expanded their kingdom along the Andes Mountains. They started out a tiny spot called Cuzco or Cusco. From there, they went in all directions. At the peak of their time, their land included present-day Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, Argentina, and Chile. Here is a brief account of their history. The Incas had a mysterious past. According to one of their legends, the sun god Inti sent his son Manco Capac and his daughter Mama Osuelo to Earth. Before they took off, he gave them a gold rod. He told them to push the gold rod into the ground wherever they stopped for rest. If the golden rod sank completely into the ground, they needed to travel no more. Right then and there, they should build the city of Cuzco and dedicate it to worship the sun god. After Manco Capac and Mama Osuelo emerged from the depths of Lake Titicaca, they wandered from one place to another, trying to find the divine site. For a while, they had no luck at all. But one day, they came across a beautiful valley. As they stopped for rest, they pushed the golden rod into the ground. It disappeared right away. Upon seeing that, Manco Capac and Mama Osuelo knew that their search was finally over. Together they found the Inca Empire around 1200 and made Cuzco the capital. Manco Capac was one of the first Sapa Inca, or emperor. After he passed away, his son, Sinchi Roca, ascended to the throne and became the second ruler. To most historians, the story of Manco Capac and Mama Osuelo was a mix of fact and fiction. On one hand, they do not know if Manco Capac and Mama Osuelo actually existed, but on the other hand, they do agree that there was an early Sapa Inca by the name of Sinchi Roca. They said that had ruled the Inca Empire from about 1230 to 1260. Whatever the truth may be, we will never know, because the Incas did not have their own written language. They left behind many unsolved mysteries. When the Inca first settled in Cuzco, it was a rather minor tribe, and it had remained so for about 250 years. Then, in 1438, Pachatucci, whose name literally meant world shaker, ascended to the throne. He was the 9th Sapa Inca. Under his leadership, the Inca began a series of quick expansions. As the kingdom grew increasingly large, Pachatucci set up a federal government at Cuzco and divided the empire into 4 provinces. He had Chichashusi in the northwest, Antashussi in the northeast, Constitussi in the southwest, the Colasusi in the southeast, and he called his empire Tachunchushi, which means land of the 4 quarters. After Pachatucci passed away, his son Topa Inca, also spelled as Tupac Inca, took over. Both the new king and the new king's heir apparent, Hahuna Capac, continued to acquire more land. But just like other great empires in history, the Inca Empire could not last forever. In 1526, a Spaniard by the name of Francisco Pizarro organized an expedition. He wanted to find the legendary El Dorado. Rumor had it that the place was full of gold. Pizarro set sail from Panama in August 1523. He had 2 ships and 160 men with him. After traveling for quite some time, they finally reached the outskirts of the Inca Empire. Along the way, they received warm welcomes, and they were convinced that they had found El Dorado. Pizarro returned to the area again in 1532. This time around, he got to meet Atahualpa, the 13th Sapa Inca, in person. But the encounter did not go well, at least not for the emperor himself. On November 16th, 1532, Pizarro and his followers, less than 200 men, staged a surprise attack. They caught Atahualpa and held him captive. They demanded a large amount of ransom for his release. But after receiving more gold and silver than he could have possibly imagined, Pizarro broke the promise and executed Atahualpa on August 29th, 1532. In reality, the moment that Pizarro seized Atahualpa and threw him into jail, it was already game over for the Inca Empire. But the Spaniards were not yet ready to become the new masters. Hence, they installed the late ruler's brother as the 14th Sapa Inca. Sadly, the young man contracted smallpox and passed away before the year ended. To appease the Incas, the Spaniards put up another puppet ruler, Manco Inca. He rebelled in 1536. After fleeing to the jungle, he and his supporters waged guerrilla warfare after the Spaniards for nearly 14 years. They tried to reclaim their land to no available. In 1572, the Spaniards caught Tupac Amaru, the last Sapa Inca. They executed him on September 24th. From the day on, the Inca Empire truly faded away and became a thing of the past.